Alright, guys, this is the review for episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's the final episode of potentially of season 1. There's talk of season 2. Not entirely sure what they could do with season 2. We can't, keep having Obi-Wan leave Luke. I think this should have been like the really rare, one-time only exception. I feel like this is when we're going to see with Leia's character, her start to become, even though she's 10, start to become who she is in A New Hope. They could potentially just adapt like this book. I know it's a Legends book, or expanded universe. I still call it the expanded universe for me. Most of this, if you haven't read it, cover your ears right now. So the big conflict of this book is it's the Tusken Raiders versus the Tatooine farmers, or they call them settlers in the book. But for me, I mean, assuming these people have been there for generations, so it's kind of weird to call them settlers. And again, I don't know like the origins of species on the planet Tatooine, so who knows if some of these people, like if humans weren't already there, I guess. I know like the Tuskens are supposed to be there, but who knows? I guess it's up to whoever's writing for Star Wars to decide. I mean, who knows where these humans came from on any planet? There's no explanation of what planet their humans originated on. So I'm going to assume that somehow maybe they were always there, but the Tuskens just don't like them or whatever. I don't know. But they could do this, and like they can incorporate like Owen and Lar and Beru into the story because they are farmers, and maybe that's how Obi-Wan gets involved, is because he doesn't want Luke to get captured by the Tuskens, for example. And what I really found interesting in this book is there's a Tusken that survived the attack in episode 2 when Anakin attacked that village. So that could be a really interesting plot for a season 2 of Kenobi. We'll see, but let's go ahead and finish talking about season 1, or just maybe just the only season of Kenobi. I thought the episode was really good, and maybe I should start off with the bad of the episode. Like, I do really like it, but okay. So the thing that kind of bugged me, and I think that bugged a lot of people, was Reva surviving her stomach being impaled by a lightsaber. Because if that's the case, then why can't Qui-Gon Jinn have just like lived long enough to get medical attention? I mean, he's on Naboo. They have medics there, right, that could help patch him up. But no, he clearly died. I don't understand how she's surviving. I mean, Maul and the Grand Inquisitor are different species, so you can at least maybe factor in the fact that they're not supposed to be human, so like internally they shouldn't function the same as humans. Like maybe like the Grand Inquisitor, for example, got stabbed too, but maybe that's not where his stomach is, and he has 2 stomachs, so like maybe like they're like, I don't know, up here or something, and down here is some other organ. I don't know. Like I haven't read like that book with those things in it. Like, is there a book about alien species? I think there is for Star Wars. It might be outdated though, because I guess they gotta do what they gotta do. But that was kind of a weird thing. I mean, I do think there were some beautiful moments with Reva in this episode. However, I think they should have waited for her to get stabbed in the stomach later. Like, I don't know, maybe have had Obi-Wan do it. I know that sounds kind of really harsh, but maybe have had Obi-Wan do it in the location where Luke has been knocked out, and have Obi-Wan carry Luke back to Owen and Beru. And then, like, while they're there, she can do that whole speech of how, like, have I become him type of thing. Like, maybe Obi-Wan does it because he's reacting too fast, and then he kind of realizes his mistakes. I know that sounds, like, weird to make Obi-Wan do that, but I don't know, that'd feel more plausible in the grand scheme of things than trying to have a character survive for how many hours it is after that episode that when she got stabbed to the end scene for her. And I don't even know, is she still there? And maybe she, like, was angry long enough to make her life last that many hours? I don't know. But I will say, she's gotta be gone, right? Like, there's just no way. There's just no way. And I feel like Owen and Beru wouldn't help her. Especially considering they attacked their home, and she went after their nephew. So it's like, no, I don't know. They don't come across as people who are willing to forgive super easily, especially Owen. So, but that was for me, like, the bad thing about the episode overall. That's I guess kind of more the effect of the last episode, right? The cause was, oh, she got stabbed in the last episode, so this is the effect. They wanted to do the storyline, but then they have this weird thing where she had been stabbed. But I don't know, whatever. Other than that, I think everything else but the episode was great. I really love the scenes between Obi-Wan and Leia. They're beautiful. They're touching. The scenes on the ship were great. I know a lot of people think Obi-Wan shouldn't have met Leia because it breaks canon somehow. I mean, Leia never indicates that she'd never met Obi-Wan before. Technically, he's met her. He was at her birth, so she might not remember meeting him, but he did meet her when she was born. Doesn't that count? So this is their second meeting since her birth, technically, and just throwing that out there. But I mean, I don't know. I thought the scenes between Obi-Wan and Leia were beautiful, and I think, you know, it made Obi-Wan realize that he has to protect both Skywalker children. Like, while, yes, you know, Luke is probably more focused on because he's going to be the Jedi out of the two, I do think, like, Leia has big importance on the political side of things because she's going to bring back the Republic, and I think that's important for Obi-Wan to protect just as much as protecting the person that's going to bring the Jedi back. And I think he realizes that in this episode. And they also give him hope. That really beautiful scene where it's during the duel, he's under all those rocks, and at first he hears just all the things Anakin has said, like the horrible things Anakin has said to him. Like, you might think that maybe they're not that horrible, but for him they're horrible because he's lost his brother, his friend, his son, you know, he's all these things to Obi-Wan, and he's lost this person in his life, and so he's remembering all the things that he said to him that were just so horrible, and then he's starts to think about the children of his brother, right? And how they've given him hope. Luke has given him hope. Leia has given him hope. These two children are his new hope, right? Like, I think the title of episode 4 really does apply to both Luke and Leia. Like, Luke is the new hope for the Jedi. Leia is the new hope for bringing back democracy in the Republic, you know? So, like, they're both equally important for different reasons, right? You know, one is to follow in the father's footsteps, while the other will follow the mother's footsteps. So I think he's realized that, and he's been given that hope, and that's why his force powers come back. Like, I guess he pulled a Goku and became a Super Saiyan. It's the best thing I could say. Or he's, like, busted out his silver and Imperium crystal. So, referencing both Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z when talking about Star Wars. Right? Just saying. Good times. So I really liked all the moments between him and Leia. I thought they were beautiful, especially that one at the end of the episode where he's pretty much telling her who her parents are without expliciting, saying their name. He doesn't say, you are this, 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 and this, like your mother, Padme Amidala. You're this, this, and this, like your father, Anakin Skywalker. Like, he doesn't say their names, but he gives her enough about her parents that it, I think, satisfies her curiosity about where she came from and allows her to accept that's part of who she is, and also to really, truly look at her adoptive parents and say, I'm okay. I'm okay not really knowing everything about my birth parents. I have these wonderful parents right here, and they're what I need. Right? I thought that scene was so beautiful. Really touching character moments between both Obi-Wan and Leia, and I absolutely loved it. I know people disagree with it, but I'm just like, it's beautiful. And it really does explain why maybe Leia was really willing to risk her life to get the Death Star plans and to go get Obi-Wan on Tatooine in A New Hope. Why Bail Organa, if you've seen Rogue One, says that he's going to send someone he absolutely trusts to go, and that's obviously Leia. Right? Like, he wouldn't send his daughter to get Obi-Wan if he thought it was going to be dangerous or that she wouldn't have wanted to go, type of thing. Like, I feel like Leia really wanted to go because it was someone she had a special connection to. I still think it makes more sense for Luke to name his son Ben, just because I think, I really like the moment of when they decided to name. There's Mara Jade and Luke decided to name their son Ben in the Legends books. And I also really like why Leia chose to name her second son Anakin in the Legends books, because I thought those two were really beautiful decisions to make, and it kept those names on past the original people they were named after, because Anakin Solo, while having similarities to his grandfather, ultimately did not suffer that fate that his grandfather did of falling to the dark side. So it kind of made that name something that wasn't like a name that you were doomed to fall to the dark side, right? So I really like that. But I do think like the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia in the series was beautiful. I loved it, and it was really, I think, special. Especially like how they casted that little girl. Like, they really found a good actress to play little Leia. And then the scenes with Luke, again, super adorable. I mean, these two little kids are Luke and Leia. Like, let's be honest. I know Mark Hamill has given his approval for his little child self as for Luke. I think Carrie Fisher would have approved of Leia. And by the way, technically they're recasting, aren't they? Like, they're not like de-aging Mark and Carrie down to like their child self using, obviously there's photographs that exist of them as kids, so they had to recast the role technically. So I don't understand why you can't do that for like the time in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, like especially like so close to Return of the Jedi. I digress, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, whatever. Perfect casting. I love the scene with little Luke and Owen at the shop where he's like, we need a new belt for the speeder, and the way Oren talks about it, like, it's because somebody broke it. I was like, that is such an Anakin thing to do. He's so much like his father. They both really are like their father, and they're also very much like Padme, too. Like, I do think Luke has traits from Padme. I will die on that hill that Luke has traits from his mother. I firmly believe he does. You know what? Why I say that? Because he had so much hope that there was still good in his father, like his mother did. His mother's dying words were, there is still good in him, Obi-Wan. I know there's still good in him. Like, the fact that Luke firmly believed that there was good in Anakin Skywalker, that came from his mother. Like, 100% came from his mother. Whereas, I feel like Leia probably wasn't as hopeful about turning Anakin back. Although she probably has had more experience with Vader for longer than Luke has. I think, 3-ish years, right? Roughly, between the films and 4 years. 4 years. So, like, between 4 and 5, it's 3 years. 5 and 6, I believe it's another year. So, 4 years. And only for 1 year he's known that Vader is his father. So, anyways, little Luke, perfect casting. I love that scene. I love how they're tying him into Anakin and his personality. I love it. I kind of wish he'd said, it's the speeder's fault. It's not my fault, right? That would have been such an Anakin thing to say, because that's something in the Clone Wars Anakin always did, right? Everyone's like, he crashes ships a lot. At least in that series, he did. And he always blames the ship. It's the ship's fault. It's not my fault. It's the ship's fault. I think it would have been a funny tie to not only him being very similar to his father, but also to that little joke in the Clone Wars cartoon series. I think that would have been great. But I also really like how Owen and Beru, some people were like, how does he not know what a lightsaber is then, and all these things. So he didn't see the lightsaber because he was climbing out the thing, so he didn't see it. And I did see that in someone's video. They said they watched it a couple of times, that scene, to see that if Luke noticed it, and he did not. So he didn't see it that time. And she doesn't have it out when she's chasing him, so there's that. And then he's been knocked unconscious, and that's when she whips out the lightsaber. So again, he's unconscious, so that's why he doesn't know about the lightsaber. Another thing is, why doesn't he, like, remember being attacked by Reva? For him, I think he's told that they're being attacked by Tusken Raiders, so that would be something he'd associate, being someone who lives on Tatooine, right? Like, okay, that memory to him would be, oh, I was attacked by a Tusken Raider. And I think I did mention this book, right? And I mean, that might be kind of like a redundant storyline to have Luke. Again, they can make it work somehow. They don't necessarily need Luke in season 2, or Luke to get attacked again in season 2 or whatever. But for now, Luke, I think, associates this attack with he was attacked by Tusken Raiders, and I think that's why he doesn't remember Reva. He probably thinks she was a Tusken Raider, and she had, like, her hood on, so that probably helped, because their faces are covered, so, and it's nighttime, so that's a good factor as well. So I don't know about you guys, but I can't see very well in the dark. So I can only imagine what 10-year-old Luke, he's probably relying on what little his eyes can see when he's running. So I don't know. I think that worked in their favor, was to make it sound like it was a Tusken Raider attack, and that's why Luke doesn't remember being attacked by Reva. I guess we'll find out down the line with Luke's character and what they do with his character. Although it sounds like we're not getting anything with Skywalkers anymore anyways, so who knows. I'm so disappointing though. I want to see more about the Skywalker. I'm for this family drama. This is why I like Star Wars so much. For this drama, this freaking family that Like, Anakin. All because Anakin made the choices that he did. That, yes, were his choices. But also, there was a lot of factors that led to him making these choices that, just say, like, it wasn't entirely his fault. There's a lot going on that led to Anakin's fall. Anywho's, I love it. I love the scene with Obi-Wan and he's giving him the toy. I'm like, yay, toy. I don't know why I'm so excited about Luke getting this toy. I think it's super sweet that he gives him a toy. And I love the moment where he's talking to Owen and he's like, you're right, he needs to be a child. I think he's realized that that's partly what happened with Anakin, was Anakin never got to be a child. And think about it, he really didn't. I know a lot of people were like, well, we saw him as a child. Right, but he was a slave. He went from being a slave to being a Jedi and being told, you have to act this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way. And none of the things that the Jedi were, believed in are good for children. like none. Like, look at Ahsoka even. Like, Ahsoka never got to be a child. She ended up being a child soldier. Man, the Jedi, this is my complaint about, like, Luke wanting to bring the Jedi back almost the exact same way. It feels like within this like, the canon now, where, like, Luke in Legends he allowed attachments. He allowed the families and people to fall in love and all these things. So, I mean, I do know Jason and Jenny and Anakin and Ben didn't really necessarily get a childhood, but again, we'll get there. I'll talk about that later. How about that? But I like that Obi-Wan kind of realized that maybe that was one of the mistakes that they made with Anakin when they were training him, was they didn't let him be a child. And he never got to be one. Like, I know he had his little friends, but I still think, as a slave, what could he have done? And then I like that he realized, like, Luke needed to be a child. And that's why Luke doesn't start training until he's 19, right, years old. But he's let Luke have a childhood. I do wish, like, Leia got to have a bit more of a childhood, but again, I think she did for, like, those first 10 years, in my opinion. And I think after this kidnapping, that's when they've realized that, okay, we need to, like, train Leia how to use a blaster and all these things and to protect herself. And so that's why she gets more heavily involved in politics and all this stuff. So yeah, I really like that. And then actually, I want to talk about Beru for a second. Can I just say, go Aunt Beru, like, holy cow, like, when she busted out those blaster rifles, and she's like, we're gonna defend our home, and I'm not running away. I was like, you go, girl. Like, seriously. Like, awesome. Get it, Aunt Beru. I mean, why wouldn't she want to defend her home? I know a lot of people, I will say, let's not criticize Aunt Beru for being a housewife. Like, she obviously cooks and cleans the house, but she does, it looks like, helps Owen with the farming of moisture. That's weird to say. Like, moisture farming, right? She helps with that, and nothing wrong with that. I don't know why we're knocking Beru down for doing those things. Again, nothing wrong. Beru's a great character, and yeah, so what if she's a farmer and a housewife? I mean, she's a farmer and a housewife that when she needs to, will bust out a blaster rifle and shoot at intruders. Is she, like, the best shot? No, her and Owen, I think, need to work on that. Just saying. Like, I think that they kept missing Reva, although maybe she was moving them with the Force or something, I don't know. Who knows? But, yeah. Go Aunt Beru. Nice job. I like that. So, the big final duel, the duel of the century. Debatable. I wouldn't say it's the duel of the century or the rematch of the century. Sorry, I still think, I don't know, they missed some mark. Like, they were supposed to top that duel on Mustafar, and they did not. Here's the thing: why they didn't call back Nick Gillard from the prequels, who was the stunt coordinator, and have him do it for Obi-Wan, is beyond me. Who knows? I'm just saying, like, you should have called him back. He could have made the rematch of the century. Just saying, because whoever they had, it was okay as a fight. I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than a lot of the fights we've seen for Star Wars live action wise. Especially in the sequel trilogy, I think it's better than the stuff in there. This is the same guy. Maybe he's decided I gotta really up my game for this one. There were some things that were pretty cool, like Vader breaking the earth of the planet. Although that feels very Avatar-y to me, right? Vader became an earthbender, guys. And so did Obi-Wan. Although he's also a firebender, right? He's the Avatar. Vader's the Avatar, guys, because he can use the earth and fire. We just need to see him use water. That's it. Sorry. But, I thought that was cool, but again, it felt, like I said, kind of Avatar-y. And when Obi-Wan lifts all the rocks, too. Again, nothing bad about it, but, it did feel very Avatar-y. Less Star Wars, more Avatar. But that's just me. Maybe other people didn't care. The best part of the fight, though, was the end of the fight when he's like pounding on Vader, right, and he breaks his box and his breathing is starting to be less controlled, and he's struggling, and then he slashes the helmet. Apparently that's how he has that scar right here on the top of his head, which is interesting because I don't think he had it in Revenge of the Sith. Or maybe he's just made it deeper, like it is. Who knows? I'd have to really look at the top of his head right there, But the makeup was great. I love Anakin's eyes changing, and the way they blended Hayden Christensen's voice with James Earl Jones was perfection, and the lines, great. They were fantastic. Like him saying, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. I'm not your great failure." Oh shoot, I messed up the line. Right, so Obi-Wan's big thing was he felt like he failed Anakin, and he's over here saying, "You didn't," right? He's pretty much telling Obi-Wan that he became Vader out of his own choice. And he did. And again, I do think there's some blame on Obi-Wan and on the rest of the Jedi, because I do think, maybe Obi-Wan letting Anakin go hang out with Palpatine wasn't necessarily a great thing to do. Just saying. I think Obi-Wan maybe, because of his own grief of losing Qui-Gon, didn't realize, oh, hey, I have to try and really take care of this boy in a way that's different than the other Jedi. And that's why everyone always says, Qui-Gon would have been a better teacher for him in that regard. No one's knocking down Obi-Wan's teaching style, because technically it is Qui-Gon's teaching style, but not entirely. So I thought beautiful lines from Anakin, Vader, and the line Obi-Wan saying, "I'm sorry." Oh my god. I teared up and was even my mom did. And my mom, for her, it's all about only the original trilogy. And the fact that they got that reaction out of her is a big deal. Just throwing that out there. She, did that face, oh no, what are you doing? Why? The emotions. Oh, sorry. But, so good. So good. That part was worth it. So worth it. And when Obi-Wan walks away, he yells, Obi-Wan! And I agree, someone mentioned in their video for their review that it's better than when Maul yells Kenobi. It is. Because it is just so, it's so good. It's like Hayden's voice with James Earl Jones' voice mixed together, and the anger and the pain in that Obi-Wan yell. I felt it. And it's just so good. So good. Sam Witwer, Hayden Christensen's coming for you. Just saying. / James Earl Jones. But I don't think he actually... I don't know how they did James Earl Jones. Because he sounds slightly different, doesn't he? Like, is that just me? I don't know. Like, it felt like they did that whole computer thing with him. I guess we'll find out in the making of. I don't know. Maybe the technology is different from when we used to record, and that's why it sounds different. I'll figure it out. He sounds different. He really does. Like, I know it's James Earl Jones' voice, but it sounds slightly different. Of course, he's older now, so that could also factor in. So, I don't know. Whatever. It was great. Amazing. Beautiful. And the final scene, the scenes, but, dude, I was not expecting Ian McDiarmid to come back. I, like, flipped out. I threw something in the air when that happened. I was like, what? I wasn't expecting him. That scene was great, too. Like, Ian McDiarmid's always been great as Palpatine. I mean, well, I'll take that back slightly. Blitz not. Rise of Skywalker not so much, but prequels, OT, this little part right here, great. Fantastic. I love it. It was great. I love how he's like, you don't care about Obi-Wan, pretty much was kind of what was going on. And I mean, it's not entirely false. Like I think, Vader really was kind of struggling between Anakin and Vader. And that's why his eyes were changing, because I think maybe hearing Obi-Wan say, I'm sorry, did affect him in some way. You know what I mean? So, who knows? We'll find out. Maybe we are getting that Vader series. As long as Hayden Christensen's in it, and we actually get to see his face. Like, don't put the poor guy in the Vader costume all the time. I want to see his face. I want to hear his voice. Give it that to me. I will watch that like crazy, like I did Obi-Wan. Like I said, I'm going to wait a couple weeks before I rewatch it, just in case. Just to let the excitement of the series kind of mellow out. And maybe when I rewatch it, we'll see if I'm still happy with it, or maybe I don't like it. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But the next scene, I was like, it was Qui-Gon. I'm like, oh my God, he's finally here. I was like, yes. And they didn't just use his voice, they actually brought Liam Neeson in. I'm like, oh my God. Someone said that broke canon, because George Lucas said that he can't do that because he hasn't learned yet. But I'm just like, well, it's been 10 years. Maybe he did learn how to do it. Just saying. And again, we don't know how George Lucas would have handled Qui-Gon throughout that time, because he sold it to Disney, and we don't know his ideas for Qui-Gon overall, and how he was supposed to train Yoda and Obi-Wan and all these things. And I do think, like, maybe because some people brought up the Clone Wars, I think that's because they were on Mortis, right, with the father, the son, and the daughter, and that's why, like, the Force was so powerful there that he was able to come back in that physical form. So I think that's why, because I do think that episode happened before the stuff with Yoda in the what was it, season 6, the Lost episodes. Again, that's canon. George Lucas was there. He was heavily involved. He produced it and all those things. So he approved all the storylines and the characters and all of the, all the things. He approved it all. Okay? He was heavily involved. Like, a lot of people have talked about, like, you'd be surprised how heavily involved George Lucas was with the Clone Wars cartoon series, the 3D one in particular. Um, again, it's kind of like how people talk about Empire and Jedi. It's like Return of the Jedi. Like a lot of people think he wasn't there and that's why they're so good. That he's the complete opposite of what actually happened. He was there. He was very much involved. He even said, like, that wasn't the plan, and then he ended up being there all the time. So, there you go. So, but I loved it. I was like, it freaking Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh my god. I felt like a little 9-year-old again. 8-year-old. Wait. When did I was how old? Oh no, I would have been 9 because I didn't get to watch Phantom Menace in the movie theater. I was 9 because we had to wait for the VHS. So I felt like a 9-year-old again. And I was so excited. A 9-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old because 12, backtrack 12. I was 11 when it was released in theaters. Because my birthday's in like the winter, fall months of the year, so, and they used to be released in May. It was great. I felt like a little kid watching the prequels again for like the first time and freaking out. Oh my god! You know what I mean? Like, maybe you don't, because maybe you didn't grow up watching the prequels. I don't know. I did, and I loved it. I loved every second of that scene, and also that little moment when he's like, it took you long enough. I was just like, hocus pocus? Because remember when Zachary Banks' sister, Emily, she's like, Zachary Banks, what took you so long, right? When she's talking, he's like, well, I had to wait for a virgin to light the candle. So, maybe I thought it would have been funny if Obi-Wan, after he said that, well, I had to wait for Princess Leia to get captured. Maybe that would have been too far. I don't know. But I thought that was funny. I think someone should do like a parody where they do that. That'd be fun. But I love that little line. Took you long enough. Right? And I love how he's like, I've always been here, Obi-Wan. And I thought that was nice. I'm so excited. Oh, my love of Star Wars is back. Like, full force, it is back. I've been like, I need to buy all the Star Wars stuff again. Like, I've been buying books. I literally bought a bunch of Her Universe stuff and things from Box Lunch. I might have overdone it, but I've been like looking for Star Wars pins. All the things Star Wars. I was like, sorry, Marvel. You'll get me back in like a couple weeks with Thor Love and Thunder. But I'm so happy with Kenobi. Was it perfect? No. I don't think it was perfect. I think, like, here's what I think wasn't entirely perfect. It had to honestly have been with Reva. And before anyone knocks me down, I thought there were some absolutely beautiful moments in this episode with her. In particular, in these last 2 episodes, actually. And it was kind of like, I felt like the writing with her wasn't as consistent, and I think that was the problem. And it didn't help that those first 4 episodes were written by, like, who were they written by? Well, they were written by these 2 people. And I think one did the last 2 episodes with Andrew Stanton. Now, here's why I think these last 2 episodes were so good. In particular, not that the first 4 were bad. The 4th one wasn't my favorite. It was too short, and they needed more. But the last 2 were so good because Andrew Stanton, if you don't know who he is, you probably have watched a movie he's done and written for. Maybe a little movie called Toy Story? Toy Story 2? How about Toy Story 3? Toy Story 4? How about WALL-E? WALL-E? You've watched WALL-E, right? Finding Nemo? Finding Dory? Huh? A Bug's Life? yeah, he's the guy that writes for Pixar. Isn't that so cool? Like, they got a freaking Pixar writer to write for Star Wars. And I'm like, nailed it. Nailed it. Like, I don't know what scenes he wrote, but I feel like the ones that really, like, impacted, like, me the most, I think those are the ones he did. I really do. I think that stuff with, like, Vader and Obi-Wan after the fight, when he's like, I'm sorry, and he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, that stuff, I think that was him. I feel like that was him. Because that was, like, an emotional punch in the face. Like, no offense. Like, no offense to the other person, but I'm pretty sure that was him. I wrote that scene. Because it's like, you know, that emotion that you get when you watch a Pixar movie. That was it right there. I had to have been. It had to have been. Like, I mean, he had to have written that one. I don't know. It was great. I loved it. Like a 10 out of 10 for Kenobi. Yeah, I mean, you probably think, wait, 10 out of 10, Sarah. How about an 8 out of 10? Because I did talk about Riva, and I do think some of the episodes were short. And I thought we were getting hour-long episodes. So, season 2, give me the hour-long episodes, more flashbacks. Just because I think that would actually help if you did, like, this plot. Just saying. Flashbacks. Let me show you. Where? Yeah, I haven't read that far yet. I'm only, like, here in the book. This is chapter 20. Here we are. So, they do this thing called meditation in this book. And it's, like, Obi-Wan's thoughts, and he's looking back on things. Here we go. Hold on. Meeting her gave me a chance to finally use the name I chose. You'll like this. He's talking to Qui-Gon, by the way. Ben. I had seen it on the map at the property office in Bastine. There's some mesa by that name. Satine used to call me that. It was a private thing. I liked the sound of it. So, like, you can actually, like, for this, like, little moment, flashback to, like, before episode 1, and you can hire an actress to be Satine, and, like, Satine's calling Obi-Wan Ben, that type of thing, like, that'd be great. Just saying. And I just realized I'm at 40 minutes, holy crap. Sorry. Alright. Again, 8 out of 10, although, like, to be honest, it's also, like, a 10 out of 10 for me, because it really did get me so excited for Star Wars again. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like, I really am. And I'm glad you guys have, like, watched my review. I know it's not as great as other people's. I don't have, like, things popping up where you can look at the episode. But I try and do my best with the limited technology I have. Maybe now that I'm teaching and I'll have a bigger salary, I can get cameras and stuff. Who knows? Although, if I have time to do YouTube, then we'll see. I don't know. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!